again. When it's stewardship season, it's important for me not only to reflect on all that St. Brendan's means to me and does for me and my family, but also to hear what it does for all of you. And so with that in mind, we have our friend, Lindsay Beel, who's going to talk about St. Brendan's and the impact that it has on her and her family. Lindsay, her husband Brett, and their 3 children arrived at St. Brendan's 2 years ago, and we're delighted to have them and delighted to hear from you this morning, Lindsay.
So I had to write it down. I am both a crier and a swearer, and if I don't plan, one or both of those things will happen. I still might cry, but we have better odds of me not saying something that shouldn't be put on our YouTube. Good morning, thank you. Good morning, St. Brendan's, and thank you, Tom, for asking me to speak in support of our stewardship campaign. I also want to genuinely express my gratitude to this entire congregation and the leadership for welcoming us so warmly 2 years ago. Tom asked me to talk about why we're members of St. Brendan's and which parts of the church's mission resonate the most with our family. And to answer that, you get to hear a little of my personal history. It can be easy to forget when you've been living in the warmth of a church like ours that others are having a very different experience with Christianity. Mother Robin is not our only Southerner. I was born in a teeny tiny town in northeast Texas called Henderson. It's in the Piney Woods in the Arklatex. And I grew up in a Southern Baptist church on the top of a red dirt hill. We attended church every Sunday morning, Sunday evening, and Wednesday evening. And considering how much time I spent there, I wish I had better stories to tell, and I've got some stories to tell. The hypocrisy, bigotry, and ugliness of my experience was obvious to even a child. And as a little kid and teen, the lessons I learned from my church about hope, love, and redemption were overshadowed by louder messages of fear, judgment, shame, and condemnation. The ways and beliefs of a good Christian were so narrow that in time I came to the conclusion that I was not a Christian at all, and I left religion entirely. I didn't consider God or Christianity again for about 17 years. When my oldest son was born, my husband's family was adamant about baptism, and as a choose your battles kind of person, I just put my energy towards satisfying their request without exposing my kids to the kinds of toxicity that I grew up with. I was just going to get through it. I was trying to find the most moral way to get my kid dunked and run and avoid talking about it until our next child. Curiosity and luck took me to people who spoke candidly with me about the irresponsible theology that I received. And they taught me that there were other ways and alternatives to what I grew up with. I know it sounds crazy, but like when you're in a sheltered environment, you don't know what else is out there. With a new understanding of what Christianity is, I was able to consent to my son Nolan's baptism with a full and joyful heart, and I was excited for my children to receive God's promise. We moved to McCandless in 2020, and as COVID restrictions eased, we started to look for a church to join. When people in this community talk about St. Brendan's, they talk about your commitments to social justice, your explicit and welcome acceptance of the LGBTQ community. Your missions are known and your missions are seen. This moved St. Brendan's to the top of our list. Crucially, our decision was made after just a few conversations with Sandy. Although small, I saw the substance and potential of the children's ministry programs. This is a place where my children could learn the works and ways of Jesus and would know that God's love is for them. They could see the lessons mirrored in St. Brendan's members' actions. By joining this church, I could give my kids the education I should have received. I cried when I wrote that, I'm sorry. I'm not crying now, which is great, but like, honestly, that's big. We broke a cycle, y'all, that's so good. Whew. I don't know what's gonna happen in the next few years, but I know that there are more, not fewer, of those types of congregations that I grew up in. Their leaders are squandering opportunities to share messages of hope because they're benefiting from messages of fear. When people have had enough, and they will, I want them to see that St. Brendanites are here, have always been here and will be here to celebrate God's kingdom, power, and glory. I want our children's ministry to continue to thrive, not just for my children, but for the little Lindsays out there. I want our church's works and deeds to tell others loud and clear, no, we mean it, we walk as Christ walked. St. Brendan's, you've always been a church on a mission, but your financial support at this church helps us go far and shine brighter. It helps us to prepare to reach and receive those in need of hearing about God's love, and there are many, and they will come. Thanks for listening to me. I'm so glad I didn't cry.